Hey guys, Cainebourne back with Elder Scrolls Online. Today I want to talk a little bit about the basics of combat in the Elder Scrolls Online. This, as is the case in most of my videos recently, because this is a beginner's guide in a 3-year-old game, is territory that has been tread many times. I have decided to do this because I am putting together a comprehensive noob's guide for noobs, and I do not want to assume any prior knowledge for anybody that's watching my videos. In addition to this, I haven't really seen a real nice, complete, and concise package where all of the information regarding combat is included in one video. I found scattered pieces in multiple different videos and guides online, but nothing that hit all of the salient points that I believe are important. So I am going to go ahead and take a crack at doing just that right now. I hope you enjoy. If not, or if you are a veteran player that this is completely useless to, then I suggest that you don't watch it. I would like to start out by giving you a brief overview of everything that will be covered in this video, and then go more in depth and do each one step by step. I'm going to be covering a light attack, a medium attack, and a heavy attack, which is just the way that you swing your basic weapon, blocking, bashing or interrupting, dodge rolling, stuns, disorients, and synergy attacks. And finally, I will give a very brief description of animation canceling. So to start out, light attack. Very simple. You just tap the left mouse button and perform a light attack. Now this seems deceptively simple, but you need to make sure that you are using these and you are weaving these into all of your combinations. So when you go out to attack somebody, typically and most commonly you're going to use an ability, light attack, ability, and so on and so forth. I mentioned that I will touch on animation canceling. That is an advanced concept that I don't want to really cover in this video, but at least for the light attack portion, you're going to want to basically tap your light attack and then right away press an ability. If you do that, you're going to skip the light attack animation, and that's how you're weaving it into your rotation. You're getting the benefit of that light attack, plus you are getting a ability to trigger. I will show that in just a moment. Secondly, there is a medium attack, which is done by just holding the button and then letting go. It's not going to really make a whole lot of sense for the sake of this particular video, but just know that when you get more advanced into weaving in attacks and doing animation cancels, sometimes you're going to get a little bit more DPS. It's going to do a little bit more damage, but you're not going to complete that whole animation. Lastly, there is the heavy attack when you hold it down and you complete the entire animation. When you do a heavy attack, it is going to restore some of your stamina or magicka, depending on the weapon type. I'm dual wielding, so that will replace stamina. If you were using a staff, it would replace magicka. The main purpose of the heavy attack besides this is to knock over or stun enemies that are off balance. Blocking is completed by just holding down the right mouse button, and then if you add a tap of the light attack button or left mouse button, that is going to be a bash or an interrupt. Stuns and disorients are side effects of certain abilities, and I will show you a stun. I don't have a disorient currently equipped, but I will show you or explain what that all entails. And then finally, there are synergy attacks, which are basically when you're in a group setting, it'll pop up on the bottom of the screen as an X, sort of like a combo, and you'll be able to trigger certain abilities based off of other classes' abilities. So now that we have some daylight and it's a little bit easier to see, I'd like to show you some of this in practice. First, I'm going to start out by stunning this scorpion so you can see that he is stunned and he cannot react to anything that I'm doing, and I have added time to do damage to him while he can't do it to me. I'm then going to illustrate the fact that it shows that he has a buff basically of that white swirling smoke around his feet that shows that he cannot be restunned. This is to prevent me from stun locking something infinitely and just sort of exploiting the system. Next, I'm going to attempt to interrupt his charge attack. I know that the scorpion will sort of get this gold light and charge up a stronger attack, which is both going to possibly put me off balance, possibly stun me, and then do more damage. So I'm going to stop that damage from happening, and I'm going to put him off balance. Then I'm going to show you how using a heavy attack can actually trigger then an off-balanced enemy to become stunned or knocked down. Hopefully it goes as smooth as I just explained, but we will see. So I'm going to open up with the stun. He is now stunned and cannot react to me in any way. He's surrounded by the white smoke, signifying that he's unstunnable. He will charge up. I am going to interrupt there and that apparently was not timed perfectly. So we are going to give it a second. Now, there he was interrupted. I will use a heavy attack, and now he is stunned. So that is the ideal scenario for that. I should mention something else here, aside from these interrupts and different things that I am doing to him. This is a good opportunity for me to illustrate very quickly, if I can heal myself, the animation canceling. So if I tap a light attack and immediately follow up with an ability, I'm getting the benefit of both attacks. And I'm going to also use an execute here, which is a quick way to finish off an enemy that's under 25% health. So now that I'm not being stabbed and poisoned to death, let me reiterate. So I stunned him. You saw that he was immune. I was then able to interrupt him, which put him off balance, and then I used a heavy attack to stun him. Then I was able to do basically a light attack and, skipping the animation, use an ability, and then finally I finished him off with an execute, which is an ability that every class except for Dragon Knight has that can quickly finish off an enemy that's under 25% health. I just covered bashing and interrupting. I do want to mention as a side note for that section that you do want to consider binding bashing to a single key, because anytime you are continually blocking, you are not regenerating stamina. And so just being able to bash quickly and not stop your stamina regeneration is important. But in addition to that, it is going to be a little bit quicker, because sometimes if you press both buttons at once, it doesn't work. Or if you're just standing there holding it, trying to time it correctly, again, you're wasting stamina regeneration time. So by having one quick button, you can just boom, interrupt, and it is probably a little bit more efficient, not just resource-wise, but also you're going to land it at the correct time more often. Now moving on to blocking, as I just mentioned, anytime you're blocking, you will not be regenerating stamina, but you can use it against certain attacks to throw your opponent off balance, and then once again follow up with a heavy attack to knock them over. It obviously is also a useful damage mitigation tool if you're in a lot of trouble and there's something you can't get out of the way in time quickly enough. If there is an attack, though, that it would be advantageous just to avoid completely, then you're going to want to use a dodge roll. Some important things to know about a dodge roll is when you dodge roll, you're going to get this little green light on your feet, and you get a debuff called dodge fatigue, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of my buff bar since I'm using an add-on called Surrender Buffs. What that does basically is it's going to cause you to lose stamina quicker and quicker. So the first one is very minimal, maybe 5%, but after that, it starts to increase exponentially, and you're going to find yourself out of stamina very quickly. But it is a useful tool to avoid telegraphed or AoE attacks that just simply can't be avoided in any other way. So I'm going to illustrate all of that with the Clan Fear right now. So we're going to go in and attack him. I'm going to start out with a stun, and I'm going to be attacking him here. He is then going to hopefully use an AoE, which I can dodge. Then he should be using an attack where he's going to charge me soon, right here. And if I block that, that's going to put him off balance. A heavy attack will then stun him. And it was a little bit delayed there for some odd reason, but we got it done. All right, so when you're in a group, and this is not the ideal setting because this is a ridiculously chaotic dolmen group where everything is dying in a quarter of a second, you will occasionally on the bottom of the screen get prompted to use a attack like Conduit here. And if I would have pressed X quickly enough, I'll be ready for the next one. That will be considered to be a synergy attack. So as other players are using abilities around you, you are able to then do a combo. See right there, I just did Conduit. So that is like basically like a buff. There are a lot of other attacks like that that can be used throughout the game. So if you were in a dungeon or a large group, hopefully not this large and chaotic, but if you're doing a dungeon and you see those pop up at the bottom of the screen, those chain combos can be incredibly important and powerful. Some of them are AoE damages, some of them are buffs to your stats, but definitely keep an eye out for those. Finally, if I'm going to talk about the basics of combat, I need to make sure I definitely cover potions. There are potions to regain magicka, stamina, and health, and those are going to be very important for your character. So normally if you just hold down Q, it opens up the radial menu, and you can equip certain ones because of the add-on, which I covered in a past video. But if you have a question about that, leave it in the comments. I can just basically press F4 or F3 to queue up a different type of potion, and then I can drink that potion and I can go ahead and heal myself or regain stamina or whatever resource I need during combat. So that obviously is going to be very important. So that should cover all of the basics of combat. You've got your light, medium, and heavy attacks, your blocking, your bashing and interrupting, your dodge rolls, your stuns, and your disorients. Obviously, I would like to share a little bit more advanced combat techniques with you in the future. One thing I will mention very quickly, just to whet your appetite or get your brain working so you're thinking about it, is animation canceling. This is something that a lot of people would consider to be a bug or an exploit or basically something that is broken. But over time, the developers have basically just said that it is part of the game. You have to accept it. I don't know if that's ever going to change, but what that basically means is using an additional attack before the other one runs out. So you'll notice very quickly that I am going to hit a light attack, but then press another button at the same time. So I'm basically going to hit a light attack and then use an ability. It cancels it, and you'll see that that light attack and the other attack happened at the same time. There are much more advanced ways to do that, and I will have an entire video on animation canceling, but I do just want to at least mention that it exists. So that should cover all of the basics of combat in ESO. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will have many more coming soon. Thank you so much for watching.